Hello, привет, здравствуйте. These are some Russian words for hello, which my Genius Hour project was about, teaching the Russian language to English speakers. As you can see, I have my Russia sweater on, representing. I got some historical Russian things here from when I spent some time in a Russian-speaking country, and yeah. So when I was starting out with my project, one thing I realized quite quickly that I would need to learn is how to type in Russian, which I have never done before. And that proved to be quite the challenge, as using an English keyboard, I had no idea where the letters would be, and I had to sort of study that, and a lot of trial and error, typing wrong letters, going back, switching constantly between English and Russian on my computer, which was quite the challenge and quite some frustrations, but I learned a very valuable asset, which, you know, I can use in the future. So in my project, I just discuss the basics, the beginnings of how you should study any language really, but in particular Russian, which has a different alphabet than English, and a lot of different sounds and more letters, as well as some symbols which do not exist in the English language. I also looked into some history of the language, which I thought was rather interesting, because much like English, Russian has more of a, has, ancient, not ancient, but historical differences throughout the time, as in like in 1080 the language was a lot different than it is today. One of the biggest things was the Soviet Union. They reformed the language in 1917, which eliminated a lot of the pronunciation symbols, and simplified the language, as it was previously used mostly in the church, and the language was not spoken by the vast majority of the population. Or sorry, written, I should say, not spoken. But yes, that was definitely something of interest, and someone who loves history, I thought that was important to include in my project. I also tried to incorporate as many lessons and aspects of the language that are different, to try to teach the reader just how some of the important things of the language, such as how words are all gendered, similar to the Latin languages, being one example, and simple pronunciations, informal versus formal speech. When you would say you'd be maybe talking to a professor, for example, you would use formal, or informal with a friend. So that in the Russian language is rather different. Even elders too. That would be a big one for formal. I also tried to incorporate some basic words and phrases, just to get any reader, pronouncing basic words in Russian, which are some of the most useful. Yeah, it was rather interesting discovering, I had to remind myself a lot of the time of what even I was teaching, because I forgot some of even like the order of the alphabet. I forgot certain where stress would be in pronunciations, which was good for even myself to relearn, because I haven't spoken it in a while, and I forget a lot about the language. But yeah, I thought the Genius Hour project was quite challenging, a lot of technology involved, but it definitely helped me to realize how to use it, the importance of it, in things that I could use in my classroom as well, which was, I thought, highly beneficial from doing the project. Yeah, I love the language, and I enjoyed creating it. So if anyone wants to read it or challenge themselves, because Russian is not an easy language, I'd be more than welcome to share my Genius Hour project with them. And yeah, thank you very much. It was a great class, and